Look at that. Look at the audience growing. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Anybody New. Rawgar, thank you. I fucking love this game too. So well done. You are amongst people like yourself who love this game. Um, yeah, he is having a tech nightmare, which is a bit of an issue for tonight's stream because we're going to talk about music, and Jay's kind of integral to that conversation. So I'm hoping that he can get his tech sorted soon. Um, Maybe he just needs to turn it off and on again. That normally works, doesn't it? But in the meantime, I shall small talk and we can chat and kick the breeze until Jay's back in the chat. How is everybody? How has everyone's month been so far? What are you all up to? Has there been anything exciting happening in the world of the Not for Broadcast Discord crew? Yes, DJ. I saw the April Fools. It was very good. I saw smatterings of it being organised in the mods chat, um, and I got very excited about it. And then I myself got fooled by the same when it got posted. I went to try and answer all the questions, and I did have to cheat and go and have a look at the answers that were in the mods chat. But it was good. It was good fun, and nice to see so many people getting involved with it. That was really cool. Been having a bunch of Jackbox game nights. Oh, wicked! Is this the new game? Yeah, the game nights channel. I saw this start up. I think I might join that because I love a quiz. I love a quiz. I love a music quiz specifically. Um, but yes, that's fun. That sounds great. FNL's on day 2 of a suspected cold. The lurgy is floating. Um, nobody connect with FNL in case you catch it. We don't want that. But I hope you're feeling okay and not too down in the dumps. Have I seen all the endings then? No, I haven't. I don't think so. You guys put in tons of work and I have not seen it all. I think I saw one, I think. But uh, yeah, the looping question. Yeah, that was fun. Right, here we go. Come on, Jay. Fingers crossed. No, and he's gone again. Let's invite him to speak. See if he wants to come and have a chat. Uh, Lobster, could you not hear me before? Is my mic okay? Everyone else can hear me okay, yeah? Bobbis, not a problem, mate. There is no pressure to turn up. You turn up as and when you feel like it. That's what Alex and Andy seem to do anyway. So do not clip this and show that to them. That's not fair. It was a joke. Just letting you know that was a joke. Uh, yeah, no, it's all good. It's all good, man. Very, very chilled here. Hoping that everybody, as you can tell by the tech issues that Jay is having. Um, oh, Ree, you can't hear me either. Ah, Ree, I tell you what you might have done, Ree, is right clicked and turned me down or muted me. Because some people like to do that because I do like to talk a lot. So just check that you haven't. I won't take any offence. Um, but yes, you may have muted me by accident. You're listening while in Spanish class. Well, como te llamo, Dennis? ¿Dónde está el biblioteca? Uh, me, me gusto. Oh, I'm trying to remember my GCSE Spanish now. Y la segunda derecha. Something about the second right. There's something up there. Anyway, there we go. There's my Spanish lesson. Ah, as soon as Jay joins as a speaker, his video freezes and he can no longer hear. Right. Everybody hold fire. Everyone hold fire. Yeah. Oh, Jay's gonna do a full restart, and I'm gonna stop this and start again because it might be because Jay's the one who has started this. I'm not sure whether that matters. Does that matter? Feed you developer exclusive content. You know all my secrets. I have outed myself many times in our multiple streams. Appears and disappears on my end. I'm going to restart this stream. It feels like there's too many little niggles happening, and I don't want people to miss out on this top quality content. So I'm gonna stop this and start it again. Please come back. Let's not lose everybody right now. So give me 2 seconds. Yes, everybody's coming back. Well done, everyone. That was your perfect opportunity to sneak off. I'm very glad nobody did. Well done, everyone. Yes, we were 26 when we left, and we are 26 present. So well done, everybody. That was a very smooth transition. No one will know the difference. Let's just not tell anybody. The whole thing is freezing. I've got a feeling the video is lagging. How is it now? Does this seem okay with my wavy arms and my voice? Do we seem to be staying? Yeah, great. I think it may have been Jay's computer because he started the stream. So I reckon it's on his end. Um, great. Good to know. Did I see a Mr. Music Man? Yes, I did. Hello, how are you, dude? We have not seen you in a little while. Lovely to see you floating around. Lobster, yeah, that's all you need to do. You don't really need to see me. I'm not doing anything interesting apart from drinking a cup of tea, so I could give you some ASMR, but I don't know if my mic's good enough, so apologies for those that get turned on by tea. Uh, I know life has been chaotic. Tell me about it. Tell me about it. Should be working right now. Oh man, well, we we should probably do something about that. I think we should probably change the timings so that they work more conveniently. Funny you say that. Ah, hello, Jay.
Hello, mate. I can finally hear and see you moving at the same time.
Yeah, I think there was. I think because you had started the stream and then your computer was going a bit fritzy because
Yeah.
everyone else was complaining about it being stuttery. So I stopped it and restarted it while you
Well, that's
were.
perfect. While I
Yeah. So
restarted the machine, and I've
yeah.
shut down literally everything on my computer now except this.
Yeah. Nice. Um.
Excellent. Welcomes
Yeah.
back to
Miss.
all of you as well.
Yes. And yes, as you can tell, we're still having a few tech issues. Fortunately, I can say not at my expense this time. That is all at Jay's end. And it's finally not
Good
me
to
to
be back.
blame for any. Yeah, not me to blame for any tech issues.
And yet I will be blaming Den.
Yeah, standard, standard.
Oh
Uh,
my word.
I know, Mr. Music Man. Who would have thought it? A tech issue on a not game stream.
I'm glad you're here, Mr.
Um,
Music Man, as the tenuous theme for tonight is music. Although obviously we may not touch on that at all, as is the manner of this stream. But if anyone has, I noticed that over the past few, when I haven't been able to be around, and apologies to all of you for that, it's been a bit hectic to say the least. Um, there's been quite a lot of music questions that I've not been able to answer. So we thought if we have a session where I promise to answer anything to do with music, then hopefully we can get all those questions answered. And then when Alex and Andy get back from being right jet setters, have you explained that they're off traveling the world?
well, I haven't explained where they've gone, but I said that they were away, and obviously you were away last week. Sorry, last month.
Month. Yeah.
But when we're all back next month, we'll be doing the quiz that DJ and a couple of others have put together.
Yeah.
which will be fun and exciting. So yeah, I've mildly explained it, but I haven't gone into detail because I didn't want to dox them where they where they're going on their holidays.
And I've lost track, so
Yeah, you
I
can
can't
find them
dox
at this
them.
hotel.
Yeah. You have to fly there, I know that.
Yeah,
Uh, yes, Mr. Music Man, anything to do with music, that you
yes.
wish
I'm
to
I'm
know.
I'm here to be more of a mediator. Jay has the knowledge for the music, and I'm just here to create the soft, mild undertones of humour, hopefully throughout the night.
Soft undertones of humor. I like that.
Yeah, that was the
Nice.
yeah.
Should be a lyricist.
Uh, hoping to tune your French horn. That's got to be one of the worst instruments, isn't it? A French horn.
It's got to be up there, hasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, not like it just, and also, sorry, Mr. Beast, about offending you, but if you're trying to pick up somebody and they go, you're a musician. What do you play? And you whip out a French horn. That's not
Could be
it's not a
worse.
cool instrument.
Could be a banjo. You got
A
no, no.
banjo is a banjo is up there, but a banjo played really well is still better than a French horn played really well, surely.
Don't drive Mr. Music Man away. He's the only one with the knowledge to take part in this stream. There he goes. Look, go to my chat.
Oh no, no, stay, stay. I'm sure you sound lovely in an orchestra surrounded by other sounds.
Not helping. Nick Fan has asked, first question, two-parter. I'm going hard there, Nick Fan. Just, overextend, extend your welcome. What were you thinking of the meaning of the Little Sea song? What was I thinking? Yeah, well, I've often asked myself that.
Don't ask that question. Yeah.
Yeah. And secondly, how did any of the dancers do it with a straight face? I'll answer the second part first. The dancers did it with a straight face because we were having so much trouble with the rip-off costumes that Little C was wearing that we were on about take 9 by then, and they had hideous numbers of rehearsal. They'd been through it loads of times in this really hot field round the corner. Do you remember from Adam's Caravan? And we had
Yeah,
those
yeah.
gazebos and we had to move them, and it was like the hottest day of the decade or something. And so they'd
It's
banged
also
through it so many times.
yeah, they're also the short answer is they're professionals. Like they're good.
Yeah,
Like they've done rehearsals and like I know actors corpse and crack sometimes, but if you're doing the same thing as Jay was saying, we rehearsed it so many times. If you do the same thing 30 times, even to yourself, it becomes not as funny. So
yeah,
with repetitiveness and the fact that they're professional dancers and you know professional like I couldn't do that like the ballroom dancing when they're like face to face like this. Like, I
yeah.
couldn't keep eye contact with somebody for that long.
Not without
Um,
getting the
so-
giggles.
yeah, so they had a
Imagine
bit of
if you and
practice.
I had to do that on stage, like Middleditch and Schwartz.
No way.
So
D-
I
No,
saw
we'd be
this amazing
corpsing
thing
over
on
there.
YouTube yesterday. It was Russell Howard interviewing John Oliver, and they're obviously long-standing friends going back years and years from the circuit. And at the end of it, Russell Howard tickles John Oliver for 5 seconds, and he gets really close to him first. Like, just go with it. Just, and it really made me laugh. Absolutely brilliant. What were we thinking of the meaning of the Little Sea song? That's about the meaning of that song is how we use sexually sort of provocative female pop stars to put over propaganda points. So I tried to write a song that was both entirely war propaganda, but also as filthy and full of innuendo as possible. Because I always think it's a bit weird, that sort of mixture of sex and politics that you sometimes get in music. And that's what it was about. I hope that. Uh, can I ask about the implications of the lyrics of the ending credits song? Yes, you may, Bunny Mew, but you'll have to say which ending credits song because there's 8 of them. Uh, can I differentiate the different Night of Smiles titles? Yes, of course. Yeah, but not immediately because they start exactly the same
Yeah,
usually.
yeah, I was gonna say.
But once we get to the bit in the middle, yeah. Uh, Bullying says Stalking Horse 98. That's aimed at you, Den. French horn bully.
Yeah,
Is it
no,
like
sorry.
one of those?
I've got nothing against the French horn. I'm just saying, in the grand schemes of instruments to whip out to impress somebody, the French horn is not in the top 100 of those instruments. Uh, music
He's made
question. Oh,
great.
go on. Do you take that one, Joe?
No, do it, do it, do it. Where have you found it?
I was just going to say, which version of Just the Job was the hardest to film? They were
Oh, that's
all
more you
pretty.
because you had to do all the
Yeah,
voice.
they were. To be honest, they were all pretty similar because in terms of the setup was we had stage left, stage right dancers, a wide and a Peter Clement. So we kind of had the same, and the choreography was designed to be apart from the pianos where we're doing the kind of
Yeah,
um the sort of the prog kind of rock stuff. Everything was kind of based around the same. Peter at the front, dancers on either side, just doing slightly different choreography. So in terms of the way that we shot them, they were all pretty similar, to be honest. Um, and they weren't really that tricky. That's a really one by that point. By the time we got to Just the Job, a four-camera shoot with just one person singing and some dancers, I was thanking Jay the fact that it was so simple by that point. You mean there's only one person moving? Great, thanks, Jay.
did we shoot?
And the fact
Did
we
we shoot all six in a day, or did we do three and
yeah,
three? Can you remember?
no, we did all yeah, we did all of them because it was the
Because there were
day
always
that
costume changes.
yeah, but Peter because Pete had learnt Rog had learnt all the songs and because he was miming along to them. So some of those we got in like one or two takes. We got
Mhm.
them so fast, and the
The
dancers were just on
dancers
it. We
were, yeah. Claire
yeah
had really got the hang of how we worked. Claire was our choreographer, and
yeah
those dancers she had, because Just the Job was actually the last thing we filmed. So we really had the best dancers. Claire had managed to find absolutely perfect people for it, and it did come together fast. Yeah. Six
yeah.
in a day. That's amazing.
Yeah, I
Listen,
think it
that's
was in a day. That
amazing.
it may have been we may have picked up some the next day. I can't really remember, but I remember getting them all just smashed out in a day. I thought, but I could be wrong. Maybe it was 2 days. Maybe it was three and three. Many film scores. Yeah, that's true. Is the Jurassic Park that opening? Is that a French horn? Could
It's
be. If it is,
Jurassic Park. It's
yeah,
a
it's a
massive
massive
park.
park.
What could possibly go wrong?
uh, how's that still really
Single
sure?
man.
Notgames radio regulars like playing a game where they guess which Night of Smiles it's playing. Oh, that's cool. That's a fun game.
Look, based on only the first four bars.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
really the
Good luck.
only difference will be fractional in the mix
Yeah,
if I have
yeah.
altered anything in
If you,
between.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Bunny Mew. Okay, I've got one. You never. You will you ever release the instrumental versions of the songs that play in the incidents between the broadcasts?
Yes, he means will I ever release a version without the sound bites all over them?
Yeah,
That's quite unlikely. I did want to do it, and I was hoping to do it, but then I realised that we had paid to have them mastered, and to release them without the clips, we would have to pay to have them mastered again, in those formats, which makes it a little bit more tricky because otherwise I'm putting up unmastered versions, which obviously are not balanced and loudness. Mastering is basically what Nigel does. Is he obviously balances the various frequency ranges so that I tend to mix things very bass heavy, but he'll pull that down a bit. He'll crisp up, he'll compress, which is about making sure top and bottom volumes aren't too far apart. Um, and then, of course, he makes sure they're all balanced to each other so that when you're playing the album through, it doesn't spike. Because when I'm mixing them, I'm usually trying to mix to somewhere around between 0 and -6 VU, depending on the track. But depending on the loudness of the track, which is slightly different from the volume, because it's about how many of the different frequencies are up. Those can vary a lot. So it would be quite a job to get the instrumental versions in anything other than a raw unmastered state. and I'm not sure I'd want to release a raw unmastered version. I'm also not sure if we're allowed.
Yeah.
We would the only way we could do it would be as extra CDs on the end, and because the game is now finished, uh, it's not, it's not being sort of supported in that way by Tiny Build. There is nobody there to do that, to get those albums updated. So I think it would be
Yeah,
very
it'd be it,
unlikely.
it might be something that later down the line, if Jay has time and wants to do it, that we just have to put up onto YouTube or something onto our channel,
Yeah,
just so
and the
people can
problem with
listen
that
to them.
is
But
we can't do that because it means people's streams then get taken down because it's
yeah,
copyrighted. And of course,
yeah,
I don't own any of the music from Not for Broadcast.
no,
That's all owned by Tiny Build.
kind of
So I
build
hope
now.
that
Yeah,
answers your question.
yeah. Nick Van has said this isn't a music question, but I need it answered. Okay, we shall
Okay,
answer it for you.
let's do it.
How many takes did that one shot cost, and bits of your life after they left the Just the Job set? Do you mean the walk around?
Walk round.
Yeah, that was a single shot.
Yeah.
Um,
Tricky shot.
it was yeah, it was. Do you know what? All it was. It's big in the news at the moment with adolescents, but back then it was 1917 had done it with these like really tricky single one shot takes. And we just decided that me and Jay went outside and we just plotted a route that looked like, because it's the same theatre that we use. So we used the side door of the stage and we basically walk around the building and back in the front entrance of the theatre. So we never left the theatre grounds, but we wanted to give the impression of walking from stage one to stage four, for example, like across a studio. So me and Jay just went out with an iPhone and in a break, and we just walked around and we just shot it from different angles, didn't we? Until we found something. We went, well, that sign might be a bit of a problem, so maybe we'll have to look this way, and
Hmm.
then maybe we'll have an interaction here just to busy it up a little bit, and then we'll put people in the corridor so it looks like a backstage is a bit busier. So we just kind of plotted it that way with an iPhone with just me and Jay, to be honest.
And then the guy who ran the theatre, who I won't name because I'm about to badmouth, he he said to me, "We'll have loads of extras come down that night. We know loads of people that will want to do this, right?" And we were going to have a crowd out front of the theatre for Peter to come in through. And then on the night, the weather was not that good. It was quite cold, and literally, like, no one was there, which is why Peter has to sign for our producer Zara, who
Yeah,
really didn't want to be in the game, right?
no,
Hates
she
being
did.
on camera. But we had literally no extras.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
even in my worst case scenario in my head, I'd thought, oh, there'll be three or four. I mean,
yeah.
he said there'll be loads, but it's cold. So, but there'll be three or four, and there were literally none.
No one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
We
it
have
was
got, funnily enough, I don't know if we've released it yet, but I do have somewhere because we were taking some sort of behind the scenes video, and that was one of the days where George was going around with the GoPro, and I think he's got a behind the scenes video of us
yeah,
doing that
going
walk
round
around.
a oneer
Um,
of the oneer. Yeah,
yeah, of him following us. You can kind of see because I'm on the monitor watching what Myrig, who is opping, I'm watching the monitor and checking when the stage is clear for the rest of the crew who are following behind, because the camera comes from
yeah,
this way, turns around and goes backwards, then comes back round the corner to go this way. So we're
yeah.
having to hide, and then as it turns, we come in behind it. And so
And
yeah, it
I've
was a
got my
nice little
hand on
dance.
my rig's back because I was watching the monitor on his camera. And as he's
Yeah,
coming backwards, I'm kind of guiding him to make sure he doesn't fall because he's actually going backwards down a ramp at the top of that
yeah, he is. Yeah,
scene.
down the
So we have
stairs,
to
then down the
guide
ramp.
him
Yeah.
around that corner. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
and
was
then I'm
absolutely
on
brilliant.
I'm on comms to Ed, who's there to open because the stage door only opens from the inside, so we had to have it open at the right time. So I'm calling not only to my rig on camera, but I'm also calling to Ed the cues of where we are and when to open doors and stuff. It was a good fun. It was a good take, but yeah, it took us maybe 6 takes, 5 or 6 takes,
Mhm.
but yeah, we got one that we were happy with. Um,
Yeah, it wasn't
Bunny
that bad
Mew,
a shoot. That's the only dialogue in the whole of Bits of Your Life that's improvised.
yeah,
Everything else is 100% script. But because we had originally intended to not hear them, I just said to them, just talk, so it
yeah, yeah.
looks like you're talking and we'll play the music. But when we
We had
heard what
to,
they'd said, it was
yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
good that we kept it. and it
Yeah,
felt
there was
really
what there
proper
was. I remember
backstage.
that. I remember there was one take. Then they did it, and we had to actually go again because something that Eamon said was so outrageous and world breaking that we couldn't actually use it. So we had to then go again because we then by that point we had decided we were going to use what they were saying. But yeah, he said something very very offensive that we could not put in the game. Jay, would you be willing to drop the chords to the ending themes?
Yeah, which one's just Bunny? Is that Bunny Mew? Yeah, I
Yeah,
see it.
funny me.
Yeah,
Do
yeah,
you want to
Bunny Mew.
ping them in
Which
there? Which
ones
one
do
you
you
want?
want? Yeah, and I'll see if I can find them in my music book. I think the end
Uh,
titles are all in this one.
do you film Peter going from the bits of your life set first, or the just the job versions at the start? What do you mean, DJ? I don't quite understand that. Do you do you film Peter going to the bits of your life set first, or the just? Oh, yeah, okay, okay, I see what you mean. Yeah, so we filmed the song, then we film Eamon's entrance, and then we cut, and then we reset on the side of the stage, and then we pick up from their hold positions at the end of the song to then pick them up walking off of the stage and round to come in. So we film the song first to find their finish positions, and then we move back round to get them coming off stage. Uh, what are your favourite instruments? The theremin. The theremin is a strange instrument. My favourite instrument is the drums. I think they're just the coolest fucking instrument in the world, to be honest.
Is that the
Um,
question? What's the coolest instruments?
no, what's your
Fiddle.
favourite instrument?
Ah, piano.
Yeah, I mean
Really,
that would be up there
just
for
for
me.
one
That's
to
such a
play.
it's so versatile, isn't it? Yeah,
You don't get the Severance theme tune without a piano.
that's true.
Or the
Yeah,
guitar. I mean, it's cliched, but yeah, it's those band instruments. They're just so versatile. The bass,
yeah,
the drums, the guitar, the piano.
yeah. Bradman,
I
will there
do
ever be
like
an OST
theremin though.
released? Will there ever be an OST released on Spotify? I need it in my place. Again, that's not up to us. That's Tiny Build. You can ask them, see if they want to put it up,
Probably
but
not.
I doubt it because it's not monetized up there for. We're
Yeah, and
I think it was stay on Steam.
I think that if you put it on Spotify, it starts pulling down streams, other people's streams, because suddenly YouTube's algorithm thinks it's copyright. So, you know, it starts taking down automatically. And even though they can appeal and then it will get put back up, that's really bad for us as a games company if we piss off the streamers. Although I have been thinking recently that if you were doing a narrative game and you really didn't want the second half of your narrative spoiled, you could just put all the music from the second half on Spotify. And as soon as a
Uh,
streamer went past the point, then you could rely on the algorithm to pull them down. But again, you
yeah,
would piss off a lot of streamers, and that's
yeah,
just not a good idea if you want to sell games in a difficult
no.
market.
Um, do you guys have any ideas on how Graham died?
On how?
Graham? Is that Granny or Graham? It says
Where is
Graham,
that?
Gram. Funny me. I've had to jump down to catch up with the live chat because we were
Ah,
uh, chatting away, and I think we missed a few. Yeah, behind the scenes. Let me see if I can find that one shot. I don't. We've been through our servers and done a load of stuff. So Andy, who currently is away, has all of the Not Game stuff backed up at his house. I don't have access to it, so it's not going to be immediate. But as soon as I get access back to the Not Game servers, I'll search for that because I definitely know we definitely took that video because I remember seeing it before. Um, and when I do find it, I'll punch it up on the Discord for you guys.
I'm just trying to
Uh,
see if I can find the notes that I sent to Chris Brown, who's our bass player. Um, I had notes for him that had all of the chords of the end titles songs
right.
because he
Okay.
needed
Nice.
them. And if I can
Yeah.
find
Yeah.
those, I will copy and paste them into the chat or something.
Yeah. Severance season 2. Yes, I have finished it. Jay has also finished
Yeah,
it.
Yeah,
Um,
we can't really talk too much about it on the stream because if any of you haven't finished it, I don't want to be
yeah,
the
there will
person
be
who spoilers that.
massive spoilers. I thought it was good though. I didn't think it was brilliant. I wasn't absolutely blown away with it as much as I thought I would be, but I did quite enjoy the last episode. And it is definitely, as I knew it would be, didn't answer tons of questions and left you with another massive cliffhanger. Um, that we now have to wait probably a couple of years to find out. But
And the
a
rest,
great show,
yeah.
great show. Adolescence is another great show as well. Those that haven't seen it, with the one take from a obviously from a filmmaker and from a sort of a videographer perspective, like so interesting to see how they achieved it. And you could see the team, you could see the team of like 100 people behind the scenes that are just frantically, everyone has a role and a job and they had so many crew dressed in
Hmm.
um, as extras because obviously the camera moves 360 degrees around the room, so you have to dress your ads and stuff into the set and stuff. So a brilliant job though, and I love Stephen Graham. He's one of my favorite actors. So yeah, Adolescence. If you haven't seen it, brilliant show. Definitely watch that. And
I'll
highlights
definitely.
shit like the seriousness of knife crime in schools and stuff today, which I think. Is there any here, Jay? Here's one for you. Is there any reason in the law that Dave is an omnipotent god?
Is there any reason for it?
Yeah.
No, no, I don't
No,
think there is a reason for it. One of the brilliant things about not for broadcast writing for it is when you've got characters like Colin Sprong and the fact that Patrick Bannon is, certain things happen just because it's surreal and lovely that they kind of do. Like the fact that Dave knows it's a game. That was just born of the fact that at first we knew Dave was going to teach you how to play, and the first version of that we didn't say press this key on the keyboard or put the mouse here. We said, oh, we just related it to those analog buttons on the screen. But then we had controllers and we had to make controller version, and we realized people were finding it hard to understand. So then Dave starts saying, click on this, or move the mouse to here, or drag the mouse down, or hit the space bar. At which point, obviously at that point Dave knows it's a game. Also, there's the question of if Dave is on the phone, how the hell does he know what you just did? There were all sorts of questions about Dave that really, when you tug on them, the only answer can be that at some meta level, he
he just
realizes it's
knows
a
everything.
game.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
when we reach bits of your life where the player is going to play as Dave, at that point, the player also knows it's a game. So there's some nice metatextual stuff we could do. But it was more to do with just enriching the world. There wasn't a sort of Dave got caught in a time loop back in 2022 and now he's, gone to the past. There's nothing like that. It was born of the fact that Dave was tutorializing and
Yeah.
including in some of the menus. Click on that in your menu to go to archive. There's no way Dave knows that. In real
Yeah.
life, Dave would say, walk to the archive room. So
Yeah.
that's why.
We got some brilliant questions coming in, so I'm just gonna.
Okay.
Uh, do we have a favorite one appearance character? So not a extended character, one appearance character. Um, he came back from you actually, so I can't say him. One appearance character. I would probably say it would be someone in Bits of Your Life. Maybe the brother. I really liked Peter's brother. I thought he was fucking phenomenal. He's only
Oh,
in there for that
God.
one.
Yeah. What a lovely scene he
He was
did.
such a good actor. So I would say him.
I mean, I really liked Stacy. I thought she was
Oh yeah,
excellent. And
but she had
she
multiple.
does
She
get
came
two
back though.
scenes if you include the
Yeah,
time loop.
it's a
Yeah.
returning character, mate. So you can't have her.
Yeah. It's a returning character. Okay. Sorry, I'm still trying to find these lyrics.
That's all right, mate.
Yeah.
That's all right. We'll come back
Absolutely
to. I haven't. I'm
none.
not gonna skip. I'm not skipping your question, Julia Stan. We will come back about least and favorite and least favorite songs. We will come back to that. But I just want to get to a couple of other questions because that one could last for a long time.
Yeah,
Um,
really good.
uh, is it just coincidence that Charles Magnus and Chester Mims have the same initials, or is there something to that? That is just coincidence, I think, isn't it, Joe?
It is pure coincidence,
Yeah,
actually, and
yeah, I thought, yeah,
that's the very first time I've ever noticed that.
yeah. Marco says, in bits of your life and time loop, the videos have changed to MP4 to WebM. They have, which at least for me has made the videos broadcast mode stutter. Interesting. No problem with the MP4 videos. As
Oh.
still had some subtitles that were out of sync. I've sent a support ticket a month or so ago, but so far nothing has happened. Will the game still get updates? It won't. We have basically finished development, and Tiny Build have um, finished on supporting it. The reason we changed from MP4 to WebM though is for size of video, because it's a better compression and you can get a better video for smaller. So it should. The reason we did it, in theory, was it makes the system run smoother, not more stutter. And that was on the majority of feedback we got from players that had that issue. The WebM seemed to fix that. Um, so that is interesting. I apologies if it's unplayable for you, Marco. Um, but yeah, the reason we did that was to actually make it smoother and less stuttery.
I'm sorry to
Uh,
hear that didn't come out for you.
Julia, that's that one. That was Marco. Would you be willing to assign temperaments to the National Nightly News team, Estra Galaxy?
Would you
Yeah,
to assign what?
like temperaments to each of them. So like I would put, Colin Sprong would be probably, I don't know, what's a temperament that describes Colin? Ditzy. He's a bit. What's his temperament? Jeremy is rage. Jeremy just gets angry and is just rages about everything.
Frustration.
Yeah.
Jeremy is, yeah,
Jenny, I would say is solid. She's just like really. She's like the pillar, isn't she, of
yeah,
the newsroom? She kind
she's
of keeps
Jeremy's
everything.
stability.
Yeah, she just stays like so level-headed.
Yeah,
Um, Megan, determined, probably Megan for her temperament. She just wants to drive to the top.
ambition.
Yeah, and then how the fuck do you talk about fucking Patrick Bannon? I mean, it's self-absorbed. I mean, wow, it's so
Narcissism.
yeah, just narcissist, isn't it?
A huge narcissist.
So yeah, I hope that answers your question, Astra. Uh, wonder what David's doing. Apologies, I'm just trying to catch up on the chat because I don't want to miss any questions as we go through.
Yeah, sure.
Is there any part of the game that you would change story-wise? No,
Probably.
I think it's pretty solid. I think getting a BAFTA nomination means your story's pretty good.
I'd
So I
like to.
wouldn't change anything.
I want to blow up an enormous statue of Peter Clement. I always wanted to blow up an enormous
There's
statue of Peter
there's
Clement, and I
obviously
still
that I
do.
would say was how would you shoot it? I think the story is
Yeah,
solid, but
yeah, still,
obviously
yeah.
with a bigger budget, we would all like to go back and start from the beginning
Mhm.
and reshoot it with the same cast though, because the cast were brilliant.
I
Um,
think I think if I had time and money and enough life, like infinite life to spend, because I'd need to go back and do it, I reckon we would trim bits. I think there are bits where it's a bit woolly, like a bit flabby around the edges because of the speed with which we wrote, edited, shot, and the fact that
yeah,
once we had shot, the idea of going back and reshooting was almost impossible for 99% of it. So I
yeah,
think when I look at my scenes that I wrote, sometimes I feel like, oh, you're going on a bit here. You could get there quicker, you know.
yeah,
But I mean, there's small things. The overall arc of the story, although it changed along the way, I think what it came out as was more relevant than what we started with. So
yes.
can't complain about
Uh,
that.
the
Okay,
ones in
next question.
Severance are Woe, Dread, Malice, and Frolic.
Oh, they're the
Oh, okay, yeah,
temperaments.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. I
Oh,
see.
and in Woe, Dread, they're the yeah, the four humours that make up
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I see what you're
Not
saying.
personality. Well, yeah, in that case, Patrick, what was it? Woe, Dread,
Malice and
Malice,
Frolic.
and Frolic. Uh, well, Jeremy Donaldson is acting out of anxiety, and he's not malicious.
No, no,
He's
none
not
of them are really
woeful.
malicious. I mean, I suppose Patrick is the most malicious because he
Yeah, but he's more dread.
doesn't give
He's
a.
just a terrified little man
Yeah, yeah,
lashing out at everybody. 'Cause,
yeah,
yeah, I think Jenny is Frolic. She sort of frolics her way through with a witty comeback and very, very rarely lets that mask drop, except when she's at gunpoint. I mean, that's the thing with the four tempers in Severance is you need all of them at different points.
yeah.
So, you will feel woe, you will feel frolic.
Bunny Muse can I ask a controversial question? You can. We might not answer it, and we'll just skip over it if we find it offensive. So yes, by all means, ask it. But we won't necessarily answer it. But we will go back to Julia Stan's question. Now I think we're at the bottom. We can catch a few more of these questions in a minute, Jay. Your
Okay.
favorite and your least favorite song?
Hmm. Least favorite might be like something that was written to be just fucking awful, like In the Goal. You know,
I was just about to say
In the
that. Like,
Goal is
it's
a
so
really
catchy, but it's
awful
a
football
dreadful.
song.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. The lyrics are offensively simplistic, which I like, and
yeah,
the melody is deliberately poppy and dull. But I wouldn't listen
yeah.
to it for pleasure.
No,
Whereas most of the others, most favorite, one of the end titles, 8,
yeah,
because we had time to flesh them out, and that varies
yeah.
depending on what week it is.
See,
But
I
that's
had
probably
for me it was always Bring It All Down. For me was always my
yeah,
favorite. But then when those end titles came along, there's some of those that I still listen to them now, and I haven't listened to them like properly all the way through because I send when Jay sends them over to us to listen to, we listen to them, but you don't really take everything in because you
no.
don't listen to it properly,
And
and
you're
then
listening to
oh
what's wrong at that point, not just for
yeah,
the pleasure
yeah,
of
because we're
listening to
trying to
the
give
end.
notes exactly. Um, but yeah, the end titles one. So what's the one with the smarter? Is it smarter called?
Smart.
Smart, yeah. Yeah, that's got to be up there for me, I think. But Bring It All Down and Paint It Red for those songs, I think.
Paint It Red,
Yeah,
yeah. If we're not including end title
yeah,
themes, Paint It Red is the only tune in the whole of Not for Broadcast that got a 12-inch remix. So,
yeah,
and that's cool. I really like that. But the reason I like that so much is because it reminds me a lot of the song I was ripping off, which is Nobody Speak by Run the Jewels and
right,
DJ
yeah, yeah,
Shadow,
yeah,
I think.
yeah,
It's a fantastic tune. So, what I really like is that song. And I could
yeah,
live with the fact that mine was a poor imitation. Also, I
yeah,
thought it
yeah,
was really cool. We got somebody to rap. That was really
yeah,
nice.
yeah, and he was great at it.
All I
Okay,
can
long
find in
question.
terms of chords for whoever asked for the chords, I've
Yeah,
got Mr. Bear. Uh, I'm just checking this isn't the version that I cut. No, this is just Mr. Bear. And I've
do
got
you
There
wanna
Is a Place.
post them in the music chat, Jay, on the Discord if
Yeah,
you're happy to, and then the
yeah.
guys can have
Smart
a.
is here. Bring It All Down is here.
Okay, very long question about the cut time loop universe. By the way, the scripts were great, very fun to read. The Allen verse is a
I'll just link
televisual
you all to
variant
this document.
universe, and in TV universes, Bozeman becomes somebody else, e.g., in Sizes, Bozeman becomes Kenneth. So my question is, who would Bozeman become in the Allen verse, where he'd be?
Be a lizard. Or
Yeah, because yeah,
he'd be
he'd be whatever
yeah,
Allen believes him to be, wouldn't he?
yeah, he'd be whatever is running the world.
Yeah,
I was going to say, and I'm saying this as a Jewish person, it'd be like the Jews that run Hollywood in, like, South Park. It would be some
yeah,
kabbalistic
yeah, yeah.
sort of, Masonic, dreadful
Not what he actually
thing.
is. Yeah.
Yeah,
Will there ever be an anniversary episode, depending on the endings? Would
uh,
would there ever be? like an anniversary episode, depending on the endings?
I don't think so.
No. Right,
No,
someone's going to have
because
to teach me this internet slang. What does IIRC mean?
in IIRC, isn't that in some like chat?
Yeah, if I recall correctly or if I remember correctly. Okay, thank you. So, uh, where did I read that? All right, you've just changed it, DJ. Thanks.
I don't.
In the goal is fun. It is. It's fun, but it's a let's be honest.
Yeah,
It's a
it's not
horrible
meant to
song.
be good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
it's
brilliantly bad song.
yeah. You know, I'm
Yeah.
not right. Okay, in the
Uh,
music chat, I'm going to post you all a link there.
thank,
Are
thank you,
some
dude.
lyrics and chords for you all. Right, that's that done.
Thank you, mate.
There
Yeah,
we go.
go back and watch. I've had to update our Twitch because Twitch had done a weird thing where they are cutting back the amount of storage you've had to do. So I've had to delete loads of all of the old streams, but I've kept all the actor interviews and the release streams. So they were
Yeah,
like the big
the
ones.
big
But I've
ones.
deleted all the other ones where we just chatted and kicked the breeze. So if there was stuff in there that you guys really enjoyed, I'm sorry, but that's now gone. But all of the VODs for the actors interviews, and that goes right back to COVID when we're doing them over over
Right.
Discord and stuff. Um, so yeah, there's tons on there for you guys to go and have a look at. But yeah, everything else has been purged, unfortunately, because Twitch required us to. Um,
Where are we up to in the
right,
questions?
a broader music question from Ree. What are your music tastes, broadly speaking, or specifically if you have a specific favorite bands or musician? Do you want to go first, Jay?
Yeah, uh, very much, very eclectic. Big influences. Beatles were my first major influence. Like I learned to play music by learning from the book, The Beatles Complete, and I learned to play every song in there and sing them. And by the time you've done that, you've kind of got a lot of different musical styles down. You know, from punk through sort of rock and well, I mean, just all those styles that the Beatles were doing. Then Bowie was a big influence. Prince, Public Enemy. God, I loved Public Enemy for a long time. Chili's, uh, Tom Waits, Robert Wyatt, Keith Jarrett, um, you know, Kate Bush. So many acts that I encountered in my 20s. Radiohead, but not modern Radiohead, sort of the OK Computer Radiohead. That was a big influence on me. Uh, but the Beatles is probably there, and musical theatre, of course, because my parents took me to the theatre a lot, and some of those shows were musicals. And my dad used to love Doris Day, and so he had records of her musicals, Calamity Jane, and
Yeah,
stuff like that. Yeah. So I
yeah.
think,
I think
and that's why. Go on.
mine's pretty eclectic as well. Like, I wouldn't say I have a specific genre. I mean, rock is what I favour towards. Um, but yeah, I mean, Foo Fighters, one of my favourite bands. I love the Foo Fighters. I think their stuff's brilliant. Radiohead, their 1997 Glastonbury appearance. I watch it all the time. It is like the perfect live set. There isn't one dud song in it. They play it so well. It's just that. So if you want to enjoy music, live music, go and watch Radiohead at Glastonbury '97. It is
Yeah,
phenomenal.
keep your eyes
Um,
open because I'm in that crowd.
yeah, you bastard. That's such a good
Yeah.
set. Such a good set.
Yeah.
Pink Floyd are. I love Pink Floyd. I listen to a lot of Floyd. Um, but yeah, anything. To be honest, I listen to anything with guitar solos. I know I'm a drummer, but drums and guitar solos are what I listen out for. Um, so yeah, and I really enjoy live music, so I listen to live versions of stuff. So Pink Floyd live at Pompeii is one of my favorite albums, like Dark Side of the Moon. But they play those songs, but they play them in Pompeii Amphitheatre, and it's fucking incredible. So yeah, live
Oh,
music, I would say.
yeah, live is great. Somewhere there's, I can't remember where I saw it, YouTube probably. There's a live version of Prince playing Joy in Repetition that goes on for
Oh,
about 14 minutes. And
14
it's
minutes. It's
just
superb, isn't it?
insane. It's
Yeah,
so good. He was so incredible.
yeah, he was brilliant.
Yeah.
But more recently, I've listened to country. I like country as well. So I've been listening to a bit. So yeah, I listen to a bit of everything. Um, Where do we get up to? Oh, I've upset Flux. I'm sorry, Flux.
Flux,
Flux was
I've just
backing.
seen a comment from Flux saying, "In the goal is my entire understanding of football." Good for you,
Yeah.
Flux. I say,
Jay's too. That's why he wrote it.
keep it that way.
Occasionally, Jay would phone me in the writing of that song and go, "Can I say this? Does it make sense?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, it kind of does." And he went, "As long as it kind of does, that's enough." And I was like, "But
Yeah,
yeah." So
because I reckon that they're written by job for hire anyway, right? So I reckon that
exactly.
when you get
Yeah.
a football song, yeah. Speaking of Flux, I want to shout out to Flux because he came and saw the play that Claire and I were in
Oh,
recently
did he
and
come down?
made the effort. And we very much appreciated that. We were saying
Well done,
after you
Flux.
left, Flux, how lovely that was of you. So top points for Flux.
Yes, well done, Flux.
Pardon me.
And I'm sorry for deleting all those videos before you had a chance to back them all up. Apologies. But to be honest, most of that is just us nattering on complete random shit. It's like tonight, you know. I saw
You've
there's
probably
some
saved us from a few
nuggets in.
lawsuits. God knows
I
what
was going
I've
to
said
say
across
we
those
definitely said a
3
few
episodes.
things, didn't we? Um, unrelated, but how much detail was put into the characters' appearances, as in their outfits, accessories, hairstyles, color, size,
A
shape,
lot.
all that costume? Yeah, costume definitely. We deliberately decided, even though the technology was 80s, the styling and clothes and the
Yeah.
hair and everything was going to be pretty much very kind of nondescript. We weren't going to set her. So from that aspect, it was. But we had professional makeup artists that um, she kind of led the team, and in related, working with Zara and George and myself and the production side and Jay and the directors, they would say these are the kind of things we're looking for, and we would give our feedback and stuff. So there was definitely thought about it. There were certain things that, if someone was wearing a particular shirt that Zara liked, I would always have a say in what it looked like on camera. Sometimes stripy shirts can look really weird and give patterns and stuff. So yeah, there's enough thought that everything looks good, I would say.
Here's a question from Bobbis. Bob is. Bobis. I'm going to say Bob is. Here's a question I bet was asked millions of times. Well, won't bother then. How come the direction of the storyline changed after episode 1? It did not. I remember asking why dollars were mentioned during Bombernonk's interview. Good use of Bombernonk. And what the country that owes them is, or for example, why the Philippines were mentioned, or maybe even that Snuggle Hudkig mentioning a Porsche. What caused the change from having stuff in real life to made up? What caused that change, Bobbis, was we got better at spotting them before we'd filmed them, but we still had them slipping in. Irish coffee comes up later on. India turns up, I believe, in the telethon, or did we cut that out? I think we
Irish
might have
coffee
got
got
that
no
out.
Irish coffee got taken out because I remember while we were filming it, someone came up to us and said, "I'm pretty sure you can't have that in," and we were like, "Oh yeah, shit, that's a really good spot." And someone else
I
spotted it, so I
think it did
don't
get
think it's
taken.
in.
Yeah. The
Yeah, I
trouble
don't
is,
think
Boris,
it's in.
when you're writing the scripts, it's not, it's easy to think, oh, I won't mention this country. I'll make up a country name because that was supposed to be what we were doing all the way through. But like the reason the Snugglehead Kid mentions a Porsche is probably because when Alex and I were writing that script, we were literally crying with laughter. We just found it so funny what we'd done to this tiny little kid, and we were picturing this kid, and then and the way we wrote that was we were taking it in turns to write lines and bouncing them off each other. So that was really, really something. Oh, apparently that document I've just pasted up is blank. I'll just fix that. One moment, please.
Uh, Estra asked a bit off topic, but I was wondering about how the wardrobe worked, both in universe and behind the scenes. I noticed that in the time loop that the pink dress remains constant for Robin, Megan, and Jenny. Does that imply their clothes are determined by a stylist? Do the men operate on looser rules? For behind the scenes, did actors usually wear their own clothes with direction, or was it different? I don't know if this was intentional, but I like noticing that Julia's dress for the advanced address during the election is great. It's a bit of a combination of both, to be honest. From a production standpoint, obviously cheaper for us if actors have something that would also work for us, then we would just ask them first. So if we needed loads of people in suits, we would say, "Do you have a suit? Could you wear that?" it with you. Great, it saves us a load of money hiring or buying, and they can bring it and they know it fits and it's comfortable. Um, so from a production standpoint, we asked them, but there were very specific things that we knew people wouldn't have. So a lot of the dresses and stuff, we would buy them so that they matched what we were going for. The reason in Time Loop we kept those dresses and stuff the same is because we were roll jumping so much. It's a very easy signifier to go, they're wearing the dress, okay, they are hosting the news, because you know them as Jenny and Robin and this and that, so you know they are playing the Megan role because they're wearing that dress and they're in that seat. So it's
Yeah,
just a quick signifier. Don't think there's
it's
anything deeper than
semiotics.
that. It's just yeah,
Yeah, easy to read.
yeah,
Funny
and that's
me.
why like
This,
when sorry, Dave, go on, Jack.
no, no, go on, go on.
No, I was just going to say the reason the men's suits change is purely because trying to find a suit that matches all the way through. We wanted to give each of them their little bit of flair to it. So, like, you'll notice the hairstyles aren't exactly the same on the girls, even though the dress stays the same. And it's not an identical dress, it's just a pink dress, because obviously we have different shapes and sizes of the people that are in that seat. So,
I'm going to
we,
have to
but
correct you because Zara never let me call that a pink dress. Apparently, it's a
okay,
salmon dress.
okay. The
Did you know?
salmon
Who knew?
dress. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Salmon
okay.
dress, right?
This salmon is a pink, isn't it? Salmon pink.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was always what I said to her, but I think
Yeah.
she would be cursing me if I
I will,
didn't say
if that's what she wants to call
salmon
it, that's what
dress.
I'll call it. So yes, the
Mm.
salmon dress. So yeah, and
Sarah
it's a lot
hated
easier
it
to, yeah,
because it works
yeah.
well with
Some people,
dark hair and doesn't work well with blonde hair, according to
right,
Sarah. So she hated
right,
being in that color for it and
yeah.
whinged about that, but there was nothing we could do about it. Yeah, I think, yeah, you've got those. Thanks, Roman. Uh, this is quite an interesting question that we've skipped over on the way. Uh, First of all, I'm not saying I agree with this take, but what do you think of the take that you could have done a better job writing Megan, Jenny, and other female characters, and that their arcs were overshadowed by male characters? Path A specifically, with the person who convinced Alex to play the tape being Bozeman, the only male character left. It's been a debate in the community for a while, and I'd love to hear what you have to say. Um, it's a really good question. It's a really good question. Alex and I knew from the top that one of the arcs of story in Not for Broadcast was that we wanted to start with a majority male environment and end with an entirely female environment. And we wanted to show that switch up from male to female because we thought that would be kind of interesting and to see what it would do to the dynamic. Um, I would agree that Megan is underwritten in terms of the conflict that she comes into. Her chances to do actual heroic things only really happen at the very, very end and only in some endings. Um, and it was quite difficult because we didn't want her to be the enemy of Jeremy. And we knew Jeremy was getting also, yeah, yeah, we knew Jeremy's character and we knew exactly what his arc was going to be, but we hadn't necessarily put enough thought into that. Um, I think that it's probably true. I don't think Jenny is underwritten. I think Jenny is written really well. We did have more for Jenny. We had a whole backstory and this traumatic thing she had been through, but we took it all out because it was slowing the movement of the main plot. Um, it was in the first draft of Jeremy having her at gunpoint. She tells this very long story about her life and why Jeremy's important to her. But as I say, it was very long winded and actually very depressing and not
Yeah,
necessarily useful
it
for,
wasn't
it was
needed.
like a 3 minute pause in the middle of the
Yeah, it
scene.
wasn't needed.
Uh,
It wasn't.
it could be that we underwrite the women because we're men. I would accept that, maybe,
I,
but I'm not sure that's
I,
the
d-
case
I wouldn't. I
because,
wouldn't be so harsh, mate. I would disagree that they're underwritten. I think there was a lot of um, I think there was because there was always by having Zara and the input of the women around when that was being written, their
yeah,
influence was if there was anything that was maybe
too
written from a
masculine
male
in the way it
yeah,
was
from a male
phrased.
perspective that
Yeah,
then that was very easily and fast and squashed early on because we had female
yeah.
eyes on the script while it was So yeah, I wouldn't say that, and I definitely don't think they're underwritten because I think
I
they
mean,
are
Julia's
written
not
on the
underwritten.
arc. No, they're written on the arc they were meant to.
Yeah,
They take over the news, and they are.
yeah,
It's a fully female cast at the end of the show, which is exactly
yeah,
the way that it was intended. So
yeah. And we take out Peter Clement. I think Julia is probably the most fleshed out and strongest written of the female characters because you actually get to see her go. By the time you've seen bits of your life, you see her as a naive, sort of slightly scared beginning of her career, and you get to see her totally go through growing in confidence and command and becoming in some versions almost pantomimically evil and in other versions just cold. I think she is a very strong female character, and I think Stacey, again, to come back to Stacey, I keep coming back to Stacey because to me Stacey's monologue is probably one of the strongest bits of writing in the whole thing in terms of maximum impact from an unknown character. I think Stacey's a really good character. I think Megan is developed in a more subtle way. You don't find out that she's in a lesbian relationship until quite late. You don't find out that she's childless until quite late. Uh, she started very much as a Fox News sort of beautiful news reader. And Alex and I weren't happy with that. And we started fleshing her out way before we even released episode one. But, I think it could be that. Yeah. You could have that. Also, I will say that the community, the players responded very strongly to Jeremy. And we knew they loved Jeremy from the get go because he gets to say those things. If it had been Megan that had been the annoyed one that was trying to bring the government down and Jeremy that was taking over from her, I think Megan would have been the one that got the love because Jeremy just says the things we all want to say. Like, he slags off that dreadful song that Jeff Algebra writes in episode one. Uh, Okay, I'm going to move on from that question. If I see that debate happening in the stream, though, I will definitely get involved. That's a really interesting question. Thing is, as a writer, you don't know. You just do what you can do, and it's not until years later that you look at it. You know. Uh,
um,
Here's a question: is
Jay,
anyone going to mention? Go on.
go on, mate. I was just going to say I'm probably going to have to shoot in a second. So if you want to finish wrapping up the
I
questions,
will take. Yeah, I'll take any. I'll just carry on through the chat and deal with any more
yeah,
music questions
yeah, great.
for a
Because
little bit longer.
yeah, I've got to
Oh,
got to
yeah, well,
go
it's
cook
six
some dinner
o'clock.
and
My
stuff.
God, that
Yeah,
hour went quick.
I know it flies by, doesn't it? But
It really
so yes,
does.
you're in safe hands with Jay. He knows what he's talking about. If he starts to go off piste on anything, just tell him to shut up. And from
Did
this
you
point
start
on,
this stage?
anything
When
he
you
says is
leave,
not the thought of not games.
when Den leaves, the stage will just probably stop or something. That's what's going to happen next, isn't
No, because I can disconnect quietly. I can just drift off
it?
into the
Okay.
background and leave you to go. So yeah, nice to see you all, and yeah, have fun. Have fun with your last half hour, or however
Have a
long you want to
lovely
go, mate.
evening, Den.
Cool. See you later,
Wicked.
dude. See you
Thanks,
guys later.
buddy.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye. Okay, I'm up at questions that were coming in at 5:45. So we're going to put a cessation on questions that arrive later than 6:10. So if you've got any, get them in the next 6 minutes, and I will get through every question I see. FNL, is anyone going to mention the elephant in the room that's the Dom verse? I will mention it, FML. It's not the Dom verse. It's not supposed to be, although I do understand that looking at it now, it certainly has a lot of that kink about it. I don't believe in kink shaming, so I don't mind that it reflects a sort of S&M look. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, provided it's between consenting adults. It was supposed, however, to be the mirror universe from Star Trek. Every so often in Star Trek they go to the mirror universe and they're like evil versions, over the top evil versions, and it's all very sort of militaristic and leathery. Uh, but when I looked back on Star Trek, it's not as leathery as our version. So that's probably why you guys call it the Domverse, that and the crop. But it was meant to be the Star Trek mirror universe. That's what we were supposed to be taking the piss out of. So sorry if that made anyone feel uncomfortable. Uh, Right, if I recall correctly, being explained. Peak verse. No, no. Will there ever be a full version of the Betterment song? No, there will not, King Elliot. And the reason for that is purely that I don't think I could write a decent enough verse to go with that chorus. I'm really happy with that little snippet, and nothing I write will be as good. Uh, People hating the fact that the videos have gone. Music Man, love them all, and the horns. Nothing wrong with the French horn, Mr. Music Man. You rock on, buddy. I use French horns a lot. Well, you can tell. Unrelated to music, how much we get? We've done that one. Pink Floyd's albums have horns in them. Yes, they do. As do Madness. As do many great albums have horns. Um, are there any songs you listen to from outside the game that make you think of the game? That's a really good question, Bunny Mew. Uh, I think I think it would only be if like a song that we have then pastiched in the game should come up. So like the song about the cruise line that I can't remember off the top of my head, but that's a clear piss take of putting on the Ritz or something. And if the original song comes on of that, then I'd go, oh yeah, we did that. So certain Britney things, bits of production in Britney Spears songs remind me a lot of Little C because I was deliberately pulling on those songs. And obviously, every time I listen to Nobody Speak, I think about Paint It Red. Okay, we've done that question about clothes. Uh, whose idea was it to add a photo of Peter Clement in the background of the finale? Probably Zara's. She made all those type of artistic art direction decisions and did them brilliantly. Boyle question: does advance win after certain paths? It depends. Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know. Obviously, only one of those paths is what actually happened, which is that first path that you play. Others are non-canonical, but I would imagine that Fight Carnage would be enough to take out Advance's chances. And we do explore that in Time Loop, where Julia has to form a coalition because Peter Clement isn't available, and she forms a coalition in the Incisors universe because the Incisors universe is smarter, as it were, and their television is all very BBC4. Peter Clement doesn't have the same level of appeal to that universe, so you end up with something more reasonable. Did World War II happen in the NFB universe? Yes. The Philippines is still canon, yes, but it shouldn't be. Are you aware the doc you posted is blank? Yes, but I have fixed it. India was in the early version, as in the Russian dub. Yeah, that sounds right. Paul is using the same jacket in every broadcast. I believe so, but I think we might have had more than one of them. Can't remember. Uh, but we liked the idea that Jeremy just has that one jacket. Yeah, and as Ree is saying here, because what's the point in having more? And maybe he has multiple of it though. Okay, what's this? Feel like we're wearing on that goes alongside the decline of the news was a very unfortunate coincidence. Yeah, it could be said if you think that the reason the news declines is purely because of them being women. I mean, in Britain, we've had um, three female prime ministers, and they've all been absolutely fucking dreadful. But I don't believe that the reason they're dreadful is because they were women. I think that the reason they were dreadful is because they came from the opposite side of politics to the side that I like. And I think if I was more right wing or conservative in nature, I'm, with the exception of Liz Truss, who crashed our economy and was only prime minister for like 3 weeks or something less. Then, if I was conservative, then I would consider Margaret Thatcher to be a great prime minister. Certainly, we weren't thinking what we'll do is we'll put the women in charge and then it will all go to shit. And I don't think that it does, because there is definitely one ending where the women bring down Julia. And I really liked that there was a whole confrontation that happens where there are no men involved. And it just shows that women are equally capable of both being as bad at things as men and as good at things as men. So, yeah. And we did keep Bozeman in place to take the blame for the decline of the news. We didn't replace the boss of the network. And I do think it's made clear that the news isn't becoming entertainment because of the influence of Meghan and Jenny. Rather, I think we know that it's going that way because Bozeman is under pressure from the government, or I hope that that's obvious. Okay. I do like there was a nod to that backstory in Time Loop when she's hosting and tearing into Magnus, forcing happiness on people. Yes, good. I always felt you were invested in your female characters before. Yeah, I mean, we were, and also, of course, we were very invested in our actors. You know, uh, half our cast was female, and Megan was around probably more than Jeremy because obviously she doesn't vanish halfway through the story. And I loved working with Andrea Vowles. I mean, she is an absolutely incredible actress. And we had very funny the lady who played Robin Short and the lady who plays Patrick Bannon. Um, they're both incredibly funny women. So there was a lot of laughter. And Sarah and I, Sarah who plays Jenny, oh sorry, I'll try and refer to them as characters. Jenny, um, I've known her for about, God, it must be coming up on 15, 20 years now. And we're very close friends. So uh, yeah, there certainly wasn't. We were very invested in making sure they had good lines. Uh, Patrick Bannon was so underdeveloped. Yes, to a degree, Bobbies. I understand what you mean. I mean that. Fortunately, George Vere, who plays Patrick, has gone on to. He's just made a YouTube series, uh, and it's a sort of a more modern version of what Patrick might be today, in my mind. And the reason for that isn't because he has in any way stolen Patrick Bannon. It's because Patrick Bannon is built a lot out of George Vere's act. You know, George had already established himself through various plays and stand up, working with Adam Willis as this a bit of an arrogant prick type of character. So we were building on those skills with Patrick and allowing him a lot of leniency to improvise or ad lib. Patrick does ad lib more than almost anyone else. Uh, and the reason for that is he's extremely good at it. So why would we stop him? Uh, okay. Is the nightly show a comment on toxically hyper feminine societies? No, it's a comment on the slow dumbing down of news and the eventual arrival of it as something like The One Show, which is a BBC show in the UK that is basically just a magazine show. I felt that, yeah, rather than doing a 1984 where you reduce the language, the way I wanted our totalitarian state to control the news, which is obviously one of the things you have to do if you're a totalitarian state, was to make it so that if the people are ill informed, then it's much easier to get them to give you their power because they don't really have any reason not to. Uh, and we see that a little bit with some of what's happening in America at the moment, where again, I'm speaking from a left wing perspective, so apologies to any Trump supporters out there. Um, I'm not trying to insult you, but if you believe that let's say Trump, the first Trump presidency, when he was inaugurated, and he said, I had the biggest crowd of anyone ever. And then they fact checked that and they showed the photos and he didn't. And there's no evidence to suggest that he did. But there are still a large cluster of people who believe that he did. Basically, what I'm saying is if you remove people's access to accurate information, um, that makes them easier to control. And that was what we were trying to talk about. Obviously, it's clearer these days with social media. And actually, what's happened is we've ended up with alternative facts. So I believe that Joe Biden won not the last election, but the one before. And if I were receiving different social media and news, I might well believe that that election was stolen. Okay, now, actually, in real life, I don't know. I didn't count the votes. I didn't do the looking into it. I haven't read the county court judgments. I have relied upon news sources that I trust to tell me what reality is. that does not mean that I've made the correct decision with those news sources. And there would be plenty of people who would say, no, you can only find the truth on Truth Social, or you can only find the truth on Fox, or you can only find the truth on MSNBC or on the BBC, or, you know, one of the, that's what I suppose we call a post-truth society. And it's very problematic, and it's going to become more and more problematic for you guys. I say you guys because I'm getting old and will eventually retire and not have to worry about it. But it is going to make for problems for the next generation. Okay, Christ, that's not a music question, but I've answered it. Patrick Barron, comment on totally home. Jenny is a. It's because Jeremy is a perfect mix of cynicism and journalism, also character development. Okay, we're talking about character. People saying Torah to Den. That's very nice. Well done. Nice and polite of you all. I like politeness. Why is Alan's middle name Stephen? Because that's what's on his birth certificate. Question about developers. Is Andy still big red tomato guy? Andy is still as cuddly and adorable as he has always been. When will the next stream be? Are we still skipping bank holidays? I would imagine we probably will skip the bank holiday Monday and we'll do it the week later. But that will be confirmed by Jackie nearer the time. But yeah, I would imagine it will be the week after. Is every territory a nation? Most of them, I think, in my mind, they are former countries. So because, you know, we're analogous to Great Britain, territory 2 might be France and territory 4 might formerly have been Germany, or in our, you know, or Konoslava or whatever we decided to call those things. It was easier to give them numbers because it's really hard making up country names. It's the Nazi imagery that raised my brows. Yeah, this is talking about the Domverse, the Star Trek Mirror Universe. The Nazi imagery is quite deliberate. The color scheme of the Nazi imagery is quite deliberate. And in Star Trek, they, I'm sure, use black, white, and red a lot to suggest sort of that particular type of fascism. Jay question, do you still perform in your band? If you do, where can we see you? I do perform in my band. One moment, EXO. You have to be in England, so I don't know where you are. You have to be in Surrey, pretty much, in England, which is about half an hour south of London. I'm just having a little look ahead in my diary to see if we've got any nice venues coming up. I don't want to invite you to a venue that I think is a bit crap. Oh, that's going to be a good one, I think. Saturday, the 24th of May in Guildford at the Britannia. That'll be a good one. Saturday, the 7th of June in Farncombe at a pub called the Cricketers. That will be superb. Every gig we've played at that place has been brilliant. It's this amazing bar run by this lesbian couple who have just knocked it out of the park. And it's got a sort of earthy pub vibe, very friendly. They're always up for a bit of a dance, and the band are up high on a stage. So they're the two I would recommend in the next few months. Saturday the 7th of June and Saturday the 24th of May, and they're Guildford for the May one, and Farncombe, which is between Guildford and Godalming, for the next. Hope that answers your question. Right. Okay, what's the next question? The Dom versus generator, blah, blah, blah. Does each loop in time loop start at the start of the broadcast or day? Because in Act 1 and 2, Bozeman can change the show, but in Act 3, it is if they just started at the start of the broadcast. Okay, here is the canonical answer. The distance that you are, if you're the type of person that gets affected by a time loop, like in this case, Bozeman and you and Colin, then the distance that you are from the thing to your left, the sort of relay when it blows, determines how close to the next thing, the next pressing of the button you get. That was how Andy and I worked. It was Bozeman's one floor up in an office, so he starts a little earlier when the machine is working normally. Once you start messing with the wires, that rule changes, and you all start at the same moment as you see just at the start of the broadcast. The real reasons behind it, as opposed to plot canonical reasons, are obviously, if you're going to book a new act, we didn't want to give you 7.5 hours of waiting for Bozeman to book a new act before you saw the scene. So the player has to start at the top of the scene. But for plot reasons, Bozeman kind of has to start a bit earlier. Um, there you go. Do you think Jeremy is the older or younger sibling to his sister? I. What sister? Okay, this is where I might make a prick of myself. I thought Jeremy was an only child, but maybe he does mention a sister because that could be a line that went in at some point. Who knows? In my mind, Jeremy's an only child. I have a sister. She's fabulous. Was Marie canonically murdered? Was it a covered up work violation? Marie, is this in Live and Spooky? If I think that's Live and Spooky, Bunny Mew, and I think you'd need to ask Al that because I didn't really do a lot on Live and Spooky. That one was Alan Andy's baby, so I don't feel I can canonically answer that. But ask that when they're in next month. Will there be music without words in it? Answered that already. In bank holidays in next Monday of May will stream. No, I would imagine the next dev stream will be the 12th. In fact, I'm going to move the appointment if I can in our director's calendar to May the 12th right now, if it lets me. Okay, yeah. So the next stream will be May the 12th because of the bank holiday. That's now official. Love the cruise line song. Thank you very much. If you could be me, yes, if you could see me now, da, 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 those little friends of mine. That song is what we were taking the piss out of. How tall is the NFB building? Many stories, about the same as Broadcasting House. Le News editor, government drop bomb, news reporter reports millions dead. Play literally most ironic advertisement for the time. Brilliant. Rodney Pleasure is pleased. Wasn't Sarah Gibbons a part of Not Games for a while, says DJ. Yes, Sarah, who plays Jenny, she helped us with marketing on Not Cod. And, well, yeah, she was my survival mechanism for a good few years. And I'm pleased to say I got the chance to be hers as well. So we have a nice, close friendship like you have with friends who have been there for you through stressful times. Nothing says vacation like the continent getting nuked or Vatican. Fistful of free speech from George is so good. That's it. Fistful of free speech. Thank you, Lobster Gorn. Blimey, I feel like I'm just sort of like monologuing at you all at this point. Hopefully, I'll catch up with the chat in a moment. The actual podcast, yes. Less sure about the accompanying social media. Not seen that. So, Rule 7, Rule 7, Rule 7. Somebody, Jay, casually breaking the server rules. Yeah. Sorry. I know, refrain from discussing politics and religion. I was more using it as an example of post-truth, though. And, I have my own issues with a lot of politics, as we all know, and I'm the one that can't. I'm always breaking Rule 7. But I don't, I really genuinely believe in dialogue across political boundaries. I do not believe that you should reject any human because of something they believe. So, I want to add that. I don't care how you voted. I still want to talk to you. In fact, if your opinions are different from mine, I probably want to talk to you more. Claire's here. Excellent. I'm seeing her later on tonight. We're doing yet another play, plugging now, for the summer. I think we're tying it to how things are reported. Yeah, borderline. But okay, thanks, Ree. What are we rabbiting on about? Claire, do you want to join us here? Clearly not. Jay, really read all questions. Yes, I really do. Bobbis is going well. I will tell Andy he's a big red tomato guy for you, Bobbis. I wish I live in Europe. Me too. Used to be able to. Exo, you're in England. Okay, well, brings you somewhere into the gig. Claire's just lurking. That's what she does in real life, man. She's always at something. I can see you in the chat, Claire. I could put you on the stage. Good to hear he is behaving himself. Right. Oh, this is a question for Claire, and presumably she's answered it. Oh, yeah, you're talking about, the writing of the female characters. Flux, message me those dates with your band. Yep, sure, I'll do that. Second that request. Right, I will put those dates in the music chat. Shall I put them there? That seems like a sensible place. He has a niece. Yes, he does. and he mentions cousins. Oh yeah, he mentions cousins. Yeah, so therefore, yeah, okay, good. Uh, in that case, he hasn't spoken to her for ages. Okay. Yes, thank you, Claire, for your backup. I believe that Julia was multifaceted. Uh, Jeremy mentions a sister. Oh, for his sister's kid. Yes, he does. Yes, you're completely right. Well, there you go. Jeremy has a sister. She just clearly doesn't mention him in his life. Uh, Also, Jay, for the next stream, can you and the fellas have the stream be more than 1 hour? I don't think the game show is enough to fit in just an hour. We can but try. We start that stream at 5, uh, and I have a thing at 7:30 that night. I will expand it to an hour and a half in our director's calendar. Will that be enough for you, DJ? Answer quickly because I've nearly caught up with the chat. I was waiting for the confirmation. Now I'm genuinely going. This is like listening to your stream of consciousness. This is like living in my head, Claire. There we go. And I've caught up with the chat. So it is 6:30. I think we should do a briefing before the stream. Unlikely, DJ, because 5 o'clock is incredibly tight for all of us. But we'll see what we can do. Living in my head would be a terrifying place. It is. It is. And on that bombshell, I'm going to wrap up today's stream. It's been so lovely to receive your questions and know that you're all there in a big list with strange photos by your faces. Um, I very much value this community and have missed it tremendously over the last few months. I do have very good excuses for missing it, which I would go into, but they're too depressing for words. So let's just assume that things are getting back to normal. And I will see you all for the next stream on May the 12th, when DJ will be torturing game developers purely for his own evil kind of joy, really. Alicia, just seen your comment. First time showing up to a stream. Awesome to have the team behind the game so communicative. Well, thank you, Alicia. It's nice to be appreciated. Please join us again. If you come back, you might even get to meet Andy and Al, who are not only funnier than me, but also way more photogenic. So that's a good reason to come back, you know. Right. Have a lovely, lovely 5 weeks, everybody, until I see you again. And I shall post gig details in the music chat for those masochistic enough to want to come and see my band. I hope I've answered enough of your music questions. I just want to point out, I had this here the whole time in case we needed it, and we didn't need it, and I tuned it and everything. I will try and find more chords for the ones that I can't find chords for if I can. Love you all. I'm now going to end this stage for everyone. Good night.